City of Stevens Point Historic Preservation Design Review Meeting, recorded June 26, 2023.
Meeting of the Historic Design Review Commission for June 26th, 2023 to order. Roll call.
Siepert.
Here.
Monk.
Here.
Christensen.
Here.
Calnan is excused. McFarland is excused. And Malevsky is excused. The thinnest of margins. We got a quorum.
We have a
Got
quorum.
Okay, number 2, report of the May 30th, 2023 meeting of Historic Design Review Commission. Any additions, comments?
Looked good to me,
Yeah.
and I looked online.
Right. Motion to accept.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
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 Okay. Number 3, a request from Micaiah Teague, representing Ryan Davis, for a design review to perform restoration improvements to the storefront facade on the property located at 1008 Main Street, consistent with Chapter 22.05, parens 2. A motion to accept?
Before we get to that, I'll have the
Oh.
applicant.
Presentation?
Yep, come on up
Oh,
and
okay,
give a
okay.
brief presentation.
Then I have, the colors that the renters picked out as well. In the sort of exterior from Sherwin-Williams, the avocado and the sage. They want to do the avocado for the trim pieces and the accent, and then the sage for the remainder of the work.
Okay. Guys see that?
So, looks good.
So it's those two. And then, yeah, you have the picture, so you can refer to those. as
Which
you-
one matches your hat, though?
Let's see. I think sage is the
Sage, it looks
closest.
pretty good,
But we
yeah.
have plenty of colors to choose from.
So what's going to be painted which here?
Well, I'll tell you all about it.
Okay.
So my name's Michaela Teague. I'm at 1222nd Street downtown. And at 1008 Main Street, we are looking at doing some facade work. So you can tell in the pictures there's some pretty significant water damage on the wood. That upper trim piece, we actually had to go, and I received permission to remove part of it because it was broken and dangling down. So we just removed that one piece just so it wouldn't fall and hit anybody in the noggin. Basically, what we're looking at doing is removing any of the pieces of wood that are rotten and replacing it like for like. So we're not changing the design, save for the color scheme. I believe that they said they wanted the avocado, the darker color, for the trim pieces and the little accents. There's some like little cornichons on the bottom, and then the sage for the rest of it. So that like gray area in the middle on the side there, and then up the big rectangle in the middle would be the sage color.
Big rectangle in the middle.
Where the signage would go.
Oh, okay.
In here.
I was looking at the other picture. Okay.
So we're gonna go through and whatever we can save, we're gonna save. I know that there used to be masonry behind the lower pieces of trim. You can actually see that in one of the old photos. I can't believe it's the one when it was Parkinson's, or next to Parkinson's, or before that. But we don't know if that masonry is still back there. So we're gonna have to see kind of like a discovery of like, okay. And I told the property owner, once we start tearing into it, it may not just be as easy peasy as, oh, it's just rotten wood, let's replace it. Because we really don't know what's behind the wood. They have the little eave underneath, and you can see where some of the water has come down through that as well, like towards the entrance of the shop. So we're just gonna peel it back and just make sure that everything behind it is safe and sound, and then replace with like, seal it up, and then paint it and make it look pretty.
Now I'll just add, I know it was mentioned in the staff report as well, kind of what the applicant was just referring to, that, you know, you can only tell so much just from the exterior as to how much damage there is currently. That part of it's going to be a discovery phase once you start to remove the rotted wood to see if any additional restoration activities will be needed for elements that you can't see from the sidewalk. So that'll be something that, depending on the scope of the deficiency, we'll be in contact with one another as to what additional steps may be needed.
Might there be, excuse me, I'm thinking of that, what do I want to say, butcher shop across the street. That was before you were here, I think, but they took off, what you're talking about, they took off the exterior, and here was all the signage from the old Pikert's butcher shop.
Yeah, definitely before my time.
Yeah, and they wanted to take that out, but we said, no, if you want to cover it up, that's fine with something, but you got to keep that. So I guess I'm wondering, I don't know what's under that any more than you do.
Well,
If there is,
I'm not sure what it would have been like. Historic is kind of an odd phrase to use because is it what was it in the 80s or the 60s or 1904 whenever the building was built. I believe in the oldest picture that is in the report, it's just wooden. It looks like slats almost. That came up. I believe that may be it.
Top one?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because that's when it was Parkinson's and that's when it was the old suit shop. So I'm not sure if there is anything behind that. And I'm not sure, it could be, like with flooring where you have 7 different layers to get through. And until we start, it's been I believe the last time a permit was pulled for that was in maybe 2007 or 2012, was putting a sign up on that building was the last permit. So I don't know when the last actual work was done on that. So I don't know if somebody already tore all that stuff out and we're going to open it up and it's going to be perfect and clean. But that's, again, something that we would end up finding as we start removing the rotten stuff on the outside.
And that'll be something that would be more of a judgment call on my part, based off of the discovery period. If there's...
well, I guess that's what I'm after, is if we can keep an eye on that.
Yeah, and if there's something where it's kind of questionable, then that'll be something I'll loop you in as chair, just to
Okay,
make sure that there's commission representation during
okay.
the discovery period. So I guess that's all that I had. I guess the staff report kind of mentions really the reason why this has to go before the commission for approval. So I think now would be a good time for the motion.
Yep.
Second.
Either you guys want to make a motion?
I'll so move.
Okay,
I'll second.
okay. So we have a motion to accept the proposal for fixing the building up and painting it, based on staff's recommendation.
One of them being, I think, the paint color. But if you would be so kind to email me the specific color.
And I think they have a mock-up. I think they made their own little mock-ups. I just don't have those copies of them.
Okay.
So I can ask them if they can send those along, but otherwise, yeah, I can definitely send that over to you.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes.
So excited. It's so nice when it's painted.
It is going to be nice.
Thank you, guys.
Mac, thank you for taking care of those buildings.
I live down there, so I
know.
like them to look nice when I'm going on my morning walks.
Morning walk.
You're doing good work.
Thank you.
Okay, number 4, discussion with possible action on submitting an opinion of the nomination submittal to the National Register of Historic Places for the property located at 1300 Maria Drive.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So, as you all, I'm sure, are aware, city staff for the better part of last 4 years now have been working towards the adaptive reuse of the former Compton property located at 1300 Maria Drive into, I believe, 80 some odd apartment units within the Compton building itself, plus 3 additional townhomes located just to its north. So included in the agenda packet is the nomination submittal to put the common property on the National Register of Historic Places. This has been something that the developer has been working on for quite some time, namely for the tax credit opportunities that exist as part of the property being on the National Register of Historic Places. So really, why is this request going before you all? So as you all know, the city is a certified local government through the State Historic Preservation Office. Anytime a nomination is submitted to their office for a property located within the municipal boundary of a certified local government, that really kickstarts a 60-day period where the State Historic Preservation Office provides the local Historic Preservation Commission to review the nomination and ultimately provide their input as to whether they believe it does or does not meet the requirements to be on the National Register. So on page 40 of the agenda packet, and I'll,
Page 40?
actually, I think it's, page 20, outlines the specific, actually, a little bit earlier, I think it was page 40. There we go, page 40. Outlines really the specific reasonings as to why the applicant and their consultant determined as to why it meets the standards to be on the National Register. So this would be checkbox number A, that the property is associated with events that have made a significant contribution to the broad patterns of our history, and specific considerations being that it was a religious institution and has the cemetery on the grounds itself. So ultimately, the purpose of this discussion today is to kind of have a broader conversation about the convent property, and then secondly, having this commission make a recommendation as to whether it does or does not meet the standards to be on the National Register. If the commission would vote in support of that, what would happen is I would whip up basically a letter of support document, and I'll work with the chair and some other city representatives so that that document can be submitted to the State Historic Preservation Office, so the feds can review it when they review it later this year. So that's about it, and I'll kick it back to you, Tim.
Okay, I guess I have two questions.
Sure.
I've driven by it a couple of times, and it's hard to see what's going on without actually going in there.
Sure.
Are they going to change the exterior significantly of the original building?
No.
Just the interior?
Just the interior. The exterior
Not at all the
staying.
facade.
Okay. Second question, when we had a meeting, 10 years ago or something, the question came up about the cemeteries. And the representative of the sisters said, "We will take care of that." She didn't explain what that meant. Is that going to be left? It is. So
At this
that'll-
time, yeah, the cemetery would be left.
Okay.
As
So
is.
whose responsibility is it then? The owners of the building, or the sisters, or the city, or
Responsibility
to
for.
take care of it?
As far as like cutting grass,
Yeah.
my assumption would be the property owner, the current property owner, and
Okay.
whoever they have contracted out to
Okay,
maintain it.
okay. Gentlemen?
I would move support for this application and approve, direct Adam to work with the head of our president of our wonderful commission, and let them, our grand poobah, and let them wordsmith a letter of support and to be sent in support of this application.
I would agree. I,
Second?
second, yeah.
Okay.
And I'll just add that my assumption, or my hunch, is that we should hear back from the feds later this year yet. When? I don't know. I mean, it's not too often that we have a request be brought to the federal level for a nomination to the National Register. Our last one being the Clark Street, Main Street Historic District from a couple years ago. That process took a little bit longer, but that was in the midst of COVID, late 2020 when that nomination was submitted to them. So my hunch is it'll be sometime later this year.
So another question that occurred to me, what about the grove itself? Is that going to be maintained? Because it's religious with the statuary and all that stuff to the east of the main building.
Oh,
the grotto.
Hence the name, the
Yeah,
grove.
the grotto. Yeah, that'll be maintained.
Okay.
Yeah, really, in terms of a site feature, the main changes would be obviously the 3 townhome buildings to the north of that. There were some slight changes as far as kind of driveway parking areas, but other than that, that's about it.
Well, I guess I was kind of concerned about the religious side of it, like the statuary on the outside, in the grove and on the building itself.
Yeah, that'll still remain.
And just out of curiosity, what are they going to do with the old baseball diamond? Your current owners, do you know?
At this time, there's no plans. I know, I'm trying to remember, I guess who the current owner of the parcel, if that's still, the sisters who owns it or not, but, at this time, there's no,
Okay, I was
plans.
just curious there. Okay,
And I have another question, just.
Sure.
It's probably not in purview of, but those units, from what I understand, I'm just kind of curious, are those gonna be more like affordable housing type units?
For the convent building.
Convent
Yeah,
building.
The townhomes would
Yeah,
not be,
yeah,
Or market trade, yeah.
yeah.
okay, all right, cool, I was just wondering.
I believe there's 17 units amongst the three, 17 units total amongst the three townhome buildings.
Okay.
So,
well, the original plan, this 10 years ago meeting, was to create a site for elderly housing, assisted housing, Alzheimer's housing, or people that really need 24 support. That's not what this is about.
No, not,
No, okay.
no, not that I'm aware, no.
Okay, okay. So it's changed, all right. Anything else, gentlemen?
No.
Okay, we have a motion to submit this and have Adam submit a letter. All those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Excuse me again. Number 5, discussion on Historic Preservation Design Review Commission Design Guidelines, Section 3.2.2, Masonry Exterior Walls, Section 3.2.3, Metal Exterior Walls, Section 3.3, Foundations. I would entertain a motion to table until a future meeting.
Yeah, purpose of that is, we had a couple commission members who let me know earlier this morning that they're gonna be unable to make it, for this meeting tonight, and I guess my perspective is, I'd rather have conversations about our design guidelines when most, if not all, of the commission members are here, so.
Yep, I think that makes sense. I'll move that we postpone it to a later meeting.
Table, okay.
Table it.
I'll second.
Second, okay. All those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, that is that. Number 6 is adjourned.
5:17, we are adjourned.
Our agenda is exhausted.
A video of this meeting is available for viewing on the city's website, stevenspoint.com/videos.